is an overreach of power, an assault on our human rights, and extremely harmful to our kids. More importantly, it has been proven ineffective as we review a year's worth of data between states and cities that have had mask mandates, lockdowns, etc., versus those who have not. COVID-19 variants will continue to follow a seasonal curve as it works through various populations regardless of lockdowns, masking, or business closures. Continuing these measures based on feelings and not facts are just wrong. Please free our kids' smiles. Please stand up for them as we know you care. Please fight for them and be our voices. What we are asking them to endure is crucial and unnecessary. As a community, we are responsible if we allow this to continue. Yesterday, we watched the Super Bowl. 7,000 strangers, celebrities, elbow to elbow in stadiums, screaming, crying, laughing, cheering, all while being unmasked. But today, we send our children muzzled like animals back to school as they sit apart from their friends with no personal contact, let alone a smile. While all of the ones that are closest to day in and day out, the teachers, kids on the bus, classmates, all emotionless and muffled. Some in your administration have said they do not think this mask mandate, some in your administration have said they do not like the mask mandates and are concerned about what this is doing to our kids. Some express that our school board members feel the same way. If that is true, the board truly believes this mask mandate needs to go. Please stand up for our community and our children. We don't want to hear you can't because we'll lose funding. When did money become more of a priority than our kids? Did we forget that the next generation will run this country? In closing, I ask you, if money is holding all of you back from standing up, what will you do when parents have had enough and remove their kids from school and you lose your funding? Thank you.
Next, public comment?
Yeah, my husband is currently Zooming, from online from where he works. He's just commented, he's not able to make comments on this discussion at all, that it's closed off to the public right now, that nobody can make comments.
Yeah, comments offline are usually emailed to Heidi.
But he wanted to partake in this, and I thought it was a public thing, and he feels as though because he's unable to be here in public, and I just found out about this meeting about an hour ago. And I made it, but he cannot make it. He is in Kentucky and he wants to partake. As I'm sure there's a lot of parents who have kids who are unable to get stickers. I think it's very valuable that you allow comments to be made in the discussions through your website, which is why I feel Zoom is here.
Well, if you say your name, we'll get that as a comment.
Thank you. Oh, Megan Damon, sorry.
Okay. I guess it's, But we don't normally take comments online. We do email, and then we would read the comment for public presentation.
I'm new to this, obviously, this is my second time coming, and I'm learning how to do this.
Yep.
If I had more time to know what things were going on tonight, I would try to be better prepared. I just feel as though, as a parent of a student here in the community, I don't have the information available to me as easily as it should be. I had to let my friends know where this facility is, and when I came the first time, I had to jump through hoops to figure out where it is. I just don't feel like the community has enough access to be partaking in this. And like I said, it could be the children they have at home without sitters. It could be the lack of knowing where to go, or even the lack of knowing that they have a voice to speak up on behalf as a parent. I just feel like the information is limited to us parents.
Any other public comment?
I have two written. Are we done with in person?
Written comment. Okay.
Okay, first public comment. Came at 12:51 today. To the Cudahy School Board. The COVID-19 emergency is over. It's long past time to unmask our kids and adults for that matter. The so-called science has changed constantly over the last 2 years, and unfortunately, the damage that has already been done to our kids, society, and economy cannot be undone or ignored. The masks do not protect. So let's go forward using our common sense and start making decisions for the good of our kids and our community. Be bold, be strong, and unmask our kids now. Please, for the sake of our kids, take away the mask mandate. Sincerely, Mary LaPaw, Benton City resident. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Second public comment sent at 5:32. Good evening. Hope this is not too late. I have two questions. First, what is being done about kindergarten lunchtime? My son is extremely hungry after school. Half the time he tells us the snack is not provided. 9:40 a.m. lunchtime is not only against federal code of regulations, but also interrupting our meal times and his as well. Second, the mask issue. As there have been recent attacks in Kennewick and around Richland, having a mask on is impeding on my son's safety at school. He cannot identify people. How do you expect the school to provide certain safety measures? It is not only impacting safety, but also impacting his growth, facial expression, and understanding other kids. Help our kids and stand up for what is right. Very respectfully, Ryan D. That's all I have.
114, public comment.
I am curious on what the update is on the schedule. I was able to view the lunchroom and I was told that they'd be working on a new schedule. I know that we have a meeting coming up, but I don't know how quickly you will have this lunch schedule ready to be reviewed, or if it's going to take more time.
Well, tonight is our principal report, so I imagine they'll probably touch on it.
Okay.
Board comment. Comments for the record from the board.
Well, I'll say I certainly appreciate the comments on masks. There seems to be a trend throughout the nation and locally that we're seeing those lifted in many states, and I hope that ours is one of the next ones. Some are taking that off ramp, and we missed that off ramp a few exits ago, and so I look forward to the day that can be a local decision. And I don't think it's just about money; it's about the fact that we are a school district under the purview of a state. We exist at their purview. So if we want to have a school district, we need to follow those instructions, even if we disagree with them. So I share the sentiment, and I urge everyone who has that sentiment to direct those comments to the governor's office. I think that's the person who can have to make that decision. So, hope we're at the end of the tunnel here.
Hope it's not a train.
We'll all agree with
I got a comment. I'd like to thank Kurt or Kyle for the way you present yourself. You know, so I just want to commend that. And a lot of times people just come up here and start thinking. Myself, I'm new to the board, along with Josh here, so we're learning, so hopefully, like, I agree with what Josh did here. Hopefully, we come to it again. And we are here for you guys. I mean, I have kids in school, what you guys are going through. We'll try to do what we can. Thank you.
I'll just say that I agree, I'm ready, as soon as we get the green light from the state, get rid of these, I wish we could do it sooner. We get the district and liabilities, if we aren't following the mandate from the state. I'm optimistic, I see the rates dropping, I see Omicron is not as deadly as the other variants. Yeah, we're moving more than endemic in the same area, probably not, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed for spring, for March, and I really hope they make that decision. That's where I'm at. No, I'm just thanking Mr. Peterson for meeting with Representative Clifford and participating on the Week on the Hill with me, trying to make changes at the state level, voicing our concerns up there.
Okay,
Last question, or no, not this question. You guys brought up a question, quarantine. Or do I
Go
have to
ahead.
write it really quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. No, my question, do I understand that? Okay. We're all family now.
we don't normally answer.
No, I brought up a good point. I'm just curious of why you look around the Tri-Cities or even Washington State, and how is it that other school districts are letting the mandates go and not putting it in as like a policy? I would say, I'm not sure the exact difference, but it's not a law. But how is it that you guys are waiting for a green light, but these other schools have, they're in Washington as well, and they're letting them go? I'm just curious, of why is it that we're different here?
I don't think you'll find any in Washington State that are.
That's not true. No, that's not
Unless
true.
it's a private school,
No, not that at all.
who's on that? Who is it? Because I'm not sure.
I'll get those.
If you would send me the names, I can answer that question and then respond back to the board with those answers as well.
We've been looking for
And
other
Bonnie
school
Lake,
districts.
the school district in mine was Bonnie Lake out there too. But there were several.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on to principal report.
So I just want to start with, talk about our dyslexia screening. We wrapped that up, with our K through second grade students. Took a while, but glad that that's kind of behind us now. We're in the process of evaluating the data and figuring out kind of next steps. There's not a whole lot of forward thinking on what we can find. So we're just kind of working with the state and with other districts on figuring out kind of where we go next. Joni Ashley is here and she's working hard to input all the data, and then we navigate through how to report the results and notify families and things like that. So working on that. Map testing for second grade, and I know Steve will talk about the older grades. It's complete. We did testing underway. We're going to be working with the first grade to kind of practice the map testing process, because it's pretty kind of difficult for the littles, and then we'll be bringing them. So then we can kind of start there, and I'm hoping that each year after that, then it's going to get more and more comfortable with teachers knowing and us knowing that. So I need to ask the community once again for help. We're We're continuing to have issues with our traffic and our crosswalks and our transition times. I think traffic has slowed down some, so thank you for that, but we're still having cars either hurrying through the crosswalks when they see the lights start to come out, or just not seeing them and moving through crosswalks. Like last week we had close calls with like people in the crosswalk and cars going right through. And so it's just, we just need everyone to pay really close attention, especially after school. That seems to be our mornings just are a little more, there's a little more space between cars, but after school, and I think with our construction now, you know, if the players go, and the cars go, like, it's all just kind of a perfect storm right now. So we just really are asking that people really watch for those crossing guards that are out and crossing the crosswalk. And then finally, I just want to take a moment to announce our Crystal Apple Award winners for our Kaiser School District this year. I believe the ESC is going to be announcing it officially tomorrow, but I wanted to let you know that I nominated our core intervention support team to receive this special award. This includes Tim Cruz, Lisa Stady, Joni Ashley, and Araceli Chavez. So they've worked so hard over the last 2 years to come together to design and implement a new reading intervention plan for our students, and I'd like to just read a couple paragraphs from their nomination letter. This team of women bring a heart and passion to our school, our community, and most importantly, our students. Over the years, they have worked in the regular classroom, have served as instructional coaches, dual language teachers, reading specialists, and are now working together to lead our intervention support team. They have seen many different administrators and staff come and go, and yet here they remain in Benton City, continuing to build strong programs and plant seeds for children's futures. When I got the job as principal at Kaiser Primary in 2019, I had no idea the storm that was in education. A global pandemic, how do we do that? We all asked. Well, proudly I can say Kaiser answered that call with flexibility and grace, even with all the challenges we like others face. Now imagine in the middle of this, a new principal asks you to possibly consider revamping what the RTI program looks like and how it serves students. So Kim, Lisa, Joni, and Araceli again answered that call. They dug in and took a rigorous online class on the science of teaching along with the other staff members. They spent countless hours observing other programs, gathering materials, building and rebuilding again schedules that could work for teachers. They designed a training program so every paraeducator was ready and confident in helping support the students. They discussed and designed data sheets that would help identify students in need. They spent time listening to teachers about their concerns and worries about a new program. They made it through the struggle of implementation and kept students at the front of all decisions. Students come first, they would say over and over, even if it meant a fifth version of that schedule. They have built, piloted, and implemented our core intervention program, where they get to meet with students one-on-one for 20 minutes a day until gaps are filled, all while continuing to serve our EL students with rigor. So they are making a difference in students' lives every single day. These educators are not only dedicated to their craft, they work together as a team to continue to support our students. They know the importance of consistent communication with each other and with the staff. They believe in the power of relationships and strive to build them with each and every student that they work with. The Crystal Apple Award recognizes individuals who have a positive impact on the lives and futures of their students. Tim Cruz, Lisa Stady, Joni Ashley, and Araceli Chavez do nothing but this each and every day at Kaiser Elementary, and I could not be more proud to be their principal or to nominate them for this award. So I just know you will join me and our staff in congratulating these amazing ones for this award. So super proud of them. They've worked really hard. So I'm making a big difference. There's some really cool stories of some of especially our older kids that just kind of had a gap and they got it and they're gone from feeling like they can't read 2 chapters books, like, you know, things like that. And they're just making a huge difference. So any questions for me?
Thank you.
A little long, but
We'll pay for it.
I
You will for a month. Hi, everyone. To follow up on that, they do make
we have heard the stories, but, we have one young lady who in fifth grade, didn't feel like she could read any of the math tests, which was that done with, in the fall. And, you know, they filled two gaps, you know, consonant vowel blends that they just didn't get. And they filled those gaps. And this young lady, when we offered her, assistance for the winter math, she said, no, I don't need that. I don't need that. And she did the test, without any intervention or help. So they make a huge difference. And one-on-one, one student time, it's pretty amazing. So, again, talking about math, we just finished it. We got through everybody but about 14 kids. COVID kind of hit us pretty hard there for a very short amount of time, but it's just enough that it affected some of our math testing and get back so we could be a part of it. So we'll get them in the spring. No doubt about that. Looking at the data, now that we have a couple data points, we are roughly at every grade level, almost exactly 1 year behind where the normative scores would happen. Which is a little bit better than a lot of the other principals that I talked to and my principal group, who said they're about 1.5 years, 2 years behind. So I'm pretty happy with the data. And I know with the interventions that we have in place, and the efforts that we're making to, you know, look at new curriculum that fits better with our current RTI intervention program. I know that in probably the next year or so, we'll close that gap and we'll do what we're supposed to do. So we're working hard. Everyone's working hard. My teachers just, you know, when I talk to them about getting ready for abstract, they're like, hey, can we take like 1.5 months and just teach? And I was like, yes, you can. So we're gonna take this month. Today was kind of, well, it was Valentine's Day, so we survived. You know, we had parties at the end of the day, so the anticipation was crazy all day, but we survived and we're thriving and kids are doing great. We're utilizing a lot of our ELD strategies with teaching maps that kids are making themselves now. So lots of great things are happening, and I'm super excited to see what the scores look like for the spring and for our SF. So with that, we are in the midst of a curriculum adoption for reading. We are looking at three different curriculums. We got held up a little bit with the winter storm on the East Coast. So we just now today, about 3 o'clock, got the last bit of curriculum into review. So we'll be sending out invites so that we can start, get everybody together and start having those conversations. And let's see, we are kind of looking at schedules. I've come up with a schedule that, you know, my first initial look at scheduling so that we kind of meet within the parameters of 10 o'clock start for lunches and being able to get done in a timely manner, giving kids 20 minutes to eat, you know, those sorts of things. We've had a first go at it. We're going to have a second go, and we'll kind of go through that review process. We just don't want to roll it out. We don't want to change the schedule 6 times, you know, getting it perfect. So we'll get one on paper, check with all the shareholders, see if it works for them, and then kind of wait until we
have everybody thumbs up to. So that's where we're kind of at with that. And we are, like I said, worried about teaching right now, but starting in March, we will start getting kids ready for testing. So we'll do some interim tests so that they know how to use all the tools and everything, so that they're not going in blind. And then, well, where we're at right now. So, questions?
Well, I'd love to be part of that reading curriculum. I know Pete passed that on.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
keep me posted.
Yep, I will definitely. So your tentative lunchtime schedule starts kindergartners at 10? 10. And then 20 minutes. Yep. Yep, and so then we're still able to be out of there by 12:05. I know that there was still some concerns because there's some language that circles around the 20 minutes not starting until everyone's in and seated. So we'll have to expand that a little bit and look at that piece of it. I haven't quite figured that one out, but we're working on it. So it is a work in progress, and I know that we have a meeting earlier next week. So we'll get that going.
We're still working on reducing the distances, getting more kids in,
Yep,
all part of it.
yep. So. Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you so much.
So Mr. Fifth is not here, so you guys get me started. All the art that you see around, those are all art pieces that Mrs. Baumgartner brought in. They are all going to be displayed at the High School Regional Art Show representing Tybee. And so she wanted to bring these up, let you guys have a look at them. I think the kids do great work. We're really trying to put art around the school, make art part of the school, and we're looking at ways to display that, glass art and all that kind of stuff. So once again, I want to get in, the school is really about kids and people. And so I want to give some kudos out for Tommy Felipe, who got 5th, and Caitlin Moakler, who got 8th at the Sub-District FFA Employment Skills Leadership Development event last week. Stephen Gifford qualified for state wrestling, which will be going on this Friday and Saturday at the Tacoma Dome. And as you saw on this new hires, most of them are in my building. And so I appreciate you guys approving those because I did the ASB secretary like a month ago. But track coaches and volleyball coaches and stuff, and it's great to kind of get all this stuff completed and up. We have a new Garrett manager from WSU Tri-Cities. Her name is April Martin. She just started last week. She was supposed to not come until this week, but she couldn't stay away from the kids. She actually left her job at ESD 123 because she was tired of not being around kids. And so we're really lucky, and I'm very happy to have her with us. She's holy cow, she's got a lot of energy. So she's competing with me, and I don't like that. But anyway, as you guys know, I make a phone call home every week. So if you don't know what's going on, I don't have to listen in, and the emails there. But we are informing kids, CBC, WASWA, FAFSA, TriTech, running start nights and all that kind of stuff. So that's all sent out every week to make sure people are caught up, or at least hear it, hopefully. They don't want to listen to me, but they can read it. It's actually in English and Spanish when it goes into the email. So that's kind of the nice thing. One of the nice things that came out last week was that Umatilla Fire District, blah, 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 blah. So it's a nice big thing to say, hey, can you guys put this out for the people? So then at that point I went, wait a second, I've been here 8 years, and our Benton County people had not come up and done anything like that. So I called them up, they came up, gave us a nice little write-up. So I put in this week's along with Umatilla. So if some student wants to go to Umatilla after high school, they can start the program down there, or they said there's always openings here locally for people in our community and students to apply for. So other than that, we got running start information night this Thursday, 6 o'clock. And state wrestling, and that's all I got. If there's any questions? Come on. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
check with that. Mr. Fest was absent today. He had a prearranged absence.
All right. Well, then we'll move on to unfinished business. Our policy 3246 procedure, restraint, isolation, and other reasonable force revision.
Yeah, this is the unfinished business that just never decides to move into the finished business because we've adopted, we've altered, and we're getting one more go around. So the changes were emailed to the board, they were highlighted in yellow. As you can see from the policy itself, there's literally one revision, and it's simply a legal notice. A legal decision had been made in December of 21. So we included that. The only change to the actual procedure itself, you find on page 3, and again highlighted. Quite honestly, these are language changes. They really aren't applicable in practice. So this is one of those policies that I bring to the board that says, okay, we're going to make sure and stay compliant with the regulations. This is a regular item that is looked at every year. The board is aware anytime a student is physically restrained, we then have to fill out paperwork in the appropriate building that it happens in and submit to the state every year. We, of course, haven't been in school sufficient matter to have any need for any restraint in the last few years, but that doesn't change us from having the requirement we need to keep our policies up to date. So that is all I'm presenting tonight with regards to 3246.
So that 2021 December thing was the only addition.
Was, quite frankly, was the only addition, and it did not make any material changes. And as the board was aware, the procedures were where we saw a couple of changes. This is primarily an information only because there is no the board does not need to work on procedures. You do not need to approve the procedures. We just have to have approval of the policy itself.
Well, the chair would entertain the motion to approve.
Only commission to approve policy 3246 as submitted.
Now go ahead. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, then we'll move on to the school lunch discussion. COVID update.
Yeah.
All yours.
Two birds with one stone. Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that Ms. Hanson, Mr. Williams both brought up some of the conversations that have been occurring. Well, Chris unfortunately was out at the time that we had Megan come in. Went through our lunchroom, sat down with Mr. Williams. We actually had another advocate for some other parents who was there at the time. We did make the first change to the schedule. I want to thank Megan for coming in. She has some really good ideas. I think too often we sit around and of course we think we know everything, but people running the schools, we get in a mindset of looking at things a certain way, and sometimes it takes somebody thinking a little bit outside the box to give us a nudge. The one update that I would bring to the board, and I said that I was going to do this, is simply because with Dan and the help of our custodians, we have been able to really rework the layout of the multi-purpose room in the elementary. We can virtually double our seating at any one time, go from where we're looking at between 90 and 110 kids for a simple grade level up to almost 200. We can bring the seating arrangements back into the 3 foot. The one thing I wanted to make the board aware of, because this is the only thing that I really something like that because it is, we have parents from the Department of Health to go ahead and cut the space from 6 feet down to 3 feet. The one thing that it would potentially, and as Julie stated earlier, our virus numbers in the county have been plummeting. So we're very fortunate there. The one real advantage that we had with the 6 feet was, of course, whenever a student was sick, there was no chance for any contact, no need for any contact tracing due to the amount of space between the kids. When we drop that down to 3 feet, that would, because the kids are unmasked while they're eating, we would have the potential, and it's simply that, the potential that we would have more kids impacted with a positive that occurred at school. We're very fortunate because our parents in our community have been rock stars in keeping their kids home when they're sick, and for the most part, we don't have kids coming to school sick right now. That's a great thing. But I felt that I needed to share that with the board so that in the case, off chance that we do have a few kids that do come up sick and we can say that they were there during lunch, we would have as opposed to no one coming within those boundaries, we would all of a sudden have potential for about 6 other kids due to one positive case. So knock on wood, we keep doing what we're doing in the community. Parents keep taking care of their kids the best they can, and they're not coming to school sick, then I don't think we have any issue. The only caveat I have really to being able to revamp, and I think with Chris and Megan's help and CD and being able to combine this, so we would go from potentially 6 grade level lunch periods down to 3 multi-grade lunch periods. The only thing, quite frankly, is we're going to wait for the COVID update. We were told as superintendents on Thursday, of course, if anybody watched the governor's press conference, we are expecting this Thursday to receive the notice on all of the mask changes, all of the emergency notices and things like that, and being given some hard and fast timelines. As CD alluded to, one of the things that I think is, as the board is well aware of, kids are, and some adults amongst us, we like repetition. We want to know where we're going on a daily basis. We want to we don't want our schedules being flipped every 15 minutes. So once we get that done, I think this is a schedule that we can have in place once we know what any potential limiting factors, assuming they're done, we can have this in place starting next Monday. No questions asked. Of course, at that time, we invite people to come back in, take a look around, see what we forgot, and then we can make some smaller changes from there. But we don't want to be flipping a full school-wide schedule too often. And in fact, Joni's sitting here, and Chris did a great job of noting that our RTI team, our intervention team, does such a great job of scheduling the kids and working with them. Quite frankly, if there are 4 people in the district that are most impacted by a schedule change, it is those folks. Because what they rely on is having time in their day to be able to go and grab Joni out of a classroom, work with them one-on-one for 20 minutes. And when we do all this shifting and don't involve them at the ground level, things can get a little hairy. It's not a reason not to change, but we certainly would like to give them as much leeway and advance notice as we can so that they can do some of that pre-scheduling before it actually happens. But the main thing being, all things being equal, we should be ready to go with a new combined lunch, not one single lunch like we've had in the past, but at least one combined grade level lunch during Monday.
What will the time frames be then?
That will be a wonderful question that Edie and Ms. Hanson will be able to report back yet. Because the last thing they need is an old high school principal trying to work on a elementary schedule. You have everybody going to
English class, and there's not even an English class.
Probably be Tuesday.
It would be Tuesday, correct? Tuesday the 22nd.
I'm curious, like you said, I did view the lunches, and currently the lunches are individual desks, with each individual desk having a walking aisle between them. I did notice that the staff tries really hard to help as many kids as they can, and I want to compliment them on that. However, I also took note that they are already in rows by grade, and they're all facing the exact same direction, so it's very hard for them to communicate with each other.
Mhm.
Which, like you said, it can be a safety thing and the eating thing, but it's also a social thing that I'm concerned about. Now, with the lunch schedule and you're getting them closer together, does that mean that they're gonna start facing each other so they can talk to each other? And then also the back table, when they're done eating, or if they're, I should say, if they're not done eating, they go back to the back row, move to a different table that is set up for the children to eat.
Mhm.
Now, I like the fact that they're able to eat into the recess. I think that that gives them the time that they need where they didn't have it before. But again, I think that kids will often skip that, given a chance, because, one, it's still too early at 9:40, but you said you're changing that. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. But I still fear that that's gonna be a complication. And I did notice the kindergarten has a little bit more extra time because they are the first ones to get there. And I did see where the complications in the past for lunches being shorter than 20 minutes, if the first group does not get out in time and the tables are not cleaned fast enough, because there is literally no wiggle room between the cleaning.
Mhm.
That's gonna get fixed with the condensed lunches. I think that's amazing. I'm really glad to hear that. But, again,
Well, we gotta keep moving with it.
okay, sorry.
We don't
No, that's
normally
okay.
take, public input on the, during the public comment.
I'm
But,
sorry.
but since you were there, you have good feedback.
I have no doubts that we can arrange to have this item as another piece of unfinished business at our next
Yeah,
board
we can-
meeting, and
We can-
we'll make sure and include any of Megan's comments and everything with, Ms. Hanson's and Mr. Williams, okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I was there too, and, enjoyed the interaction with the kids, as they come and go, they make it a good lunch, I love it. Okay, we're gonna move on to, certified substitute pay. Another discussion.
Yeah, brief discussion, I have a feeling. As the board is very aware, the certificated salary for a substitute teacher in town of Benton City is $135. We've been very consistent in that has been the same amount, pretty much within our region. So everywhere from Benton City in the west, all the way to Burbank, Columbia, Burbank in the east. We're not gonna have Connell, but Pasco, which goes halfway to Connell, and of course, you know, at Patterson, we've all been very consistent around the $135. Last week, we found out that both Richland and Kennewick have decided to up their substitute pay from $135 to $150. They are saying at this point that they are doing that simply during COVID time. I'll believe that when I see it. However, being that for the most part, we share a substitute pool with the greater Tri-Cities, I think it's only a matter of time before Pasco goes to 150, if not higher. And while this is not a contractual item, the district has the ability to set our substitute pay rate. The one thing it will impact is it is a negotiated item that I'll have to work with our certificated bargaining unit on. It is in the contract what our long-term subs make. And that would have to be adjusted. So those are any of our substitutes who are in a position for 20 continuous days or longer. We have several in the district right now. We have at least one teacher on maternity leave in a couple of situations like that. So the first step though is just to notify the board and ask for any input or discussion around raising the teacher substitute pay up to $150. That would be my proposal.
I'm in support of raising it. I know it's hard for our district to get substitutes.
too. And it would be even harder if we were not paying competitive on rate.
What would be monthly impact on our budget, the ballpark?
At this point, virtually nothing. Because the entire raise at this point, we would cover out of our ESSER funding. So, there's none of this would impact our basic education allotment.
What's the funding or this financial implications on just outside of the budget? What's the increase cost?
I could get that for you off the top of my head. You know, we've got, I'm gonna say between 5 and 8 certificated substitutes a day. So, you know, we're looking at roughly a 10%, 12% increase. I can tell you that, the majority of our funds that we're expending on substitutes are coming from our ESSER COLA dollars, simply because we don't even have enough regular subs to fill the day, so our teachers are being asked to cover on an hourly basis, which is quite frankly a higher sub cost than if we were able to have regular subs anymore.
Yeah.
I would say that, and I think it fits in with this well, is there are, or my understanding is that there is an exploratory committee right now that is making considerations around doing a statewide certificated substitute schedule. I will obviously be giving the board that information as soon as it comes about, but if we can use Oregon as an example. Oregon, on the east side of Oregon, which has a substantially lower cost of living, they pay the same for a substitute you do in Portland. So the Oregon statewide salary is $175 for a substitute, whether you're in downtown Portland or whether you're in Milton Free Water. So that has quite frankly a much bigger potential to impact this than anything we're doing on a regional level.
We want approval.
I would like to ask the board, just for we don't need to do a roll call. But, I would appreciate it if we had you on the record as saying that you're approving an increase to $150.
So, you know, the Richmond claim they're only doing this during COVID. Around forever, but anyhow, and you say we're gonna use ESSER dollars, but I don't assume those are gonna be around forever. So how do we word this and how do they word this? Saying when that's done, it goes back to 135, and I just, you know, this is a lot of money when you're looking at subs, you know, over the course of however many months, years, whatever, you know, to me, that's a little less money that would take away from you in 6 months or in 8 months.
Well, I
or
think-
a year.
I think the best thing that we can do is, I think we could easily say that this is a funded decision that we will have ESSER funding through September of 2024. I think at that point, my guess is that there's not any coincidence in the fact that they're doing this exploratory committee on looking at statewide salary for substitutes that would potentially come into place at exactly the same time that money runs out from the fed.
We're obviously having, you know, challenges being subs, right? So we're expecting this to increase that the competition. Kind of pull more in the way.
Well, I honestly, I wish I could say that this was going to increase it. I think this will keep the status quo.
Right.
Yeah.
We have the increased competition. And so,
Correct.
You don't do this, and then this makes the situation worse.
Yep.
I move to increase the substitute rate to $100 a day. Sorry,
That's a step backwards.
$150 a day
I'll
as
second,
long as we have the extra funding.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain. Okay. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Did you second?
I did.
Did you give it? Oh.
You said yes?
I hadn't voted.
You have
You did?
Yeah.
It passed either way, but, I just want more information on that. We voted, put something through to 2024, but so, it carries, but I'll say no for that.
All right.
Better than get away from it.
Sorry about that. I thought I heard you say yes. Okay, well then we'll move to new business.
First item is an out-of-state travel request from Diane Chabal, our bilingual director. She's simply asking for approval to go out of state to a state, I'm here, get the name right. It is to the Migrant Federal Program State Directors Meeting. In the request, and of course, you got the full 5-page request with all the necessary paperwork and things that went along with it. This is, yeah, this is a yearly grant that we get for bilingual education and migrant services to the $209,000. You know, when we look at the fact that we were able to carry over from the previous year another $190,000 that we have in the bank this year. This is one of those grants where you'll get that carryover for a year, maybe 2 years at the most, and then we'll get to pay the federal government back for anything that's not extended. And certainly there's nothing wrong with that. But the money is there, it is a grant dollar, it's not basic education allotment. And my recommendation to the board would be to go ahead and approve this. She did go through the trouble of taking a look, seeing if there was anything comparable that she could attend that was local. There's no comparable online trainings, they're going back in person for the first time. And the fact that this is during spring break, so it doesn't take her out of the district at time that we have kids in or with needing services.
Looks like she's the only one.
Correct.
All right, any discussion, comment, question? Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve Diane Gonzalez as the travel.
I'll go ahead. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody's unanimous? Okay. Kind of hard when you're hard. All right, then on to our social media policy.
Yeah. So what we've got before you is District Policy 5254, and if this looks a bit not the same, it's because this is actually not a WASDA draft. WASDA does not have this policy. This was created by our ESD communications director. This has been used now a couple of times, most recently in the Royal City School District. And what the issue that we're trying to contain, and I don't think that's too strong a word, but especially our secondary age kids, our middle school, our high school age kids. As Mr. Henry could attest if he was here, you can get a new club, a new activity at the drop of a hat, and quite frankly, it takes about 30 more seconds, and you've got a Facebook page, or you've got a YouTube channel or an Instagram, whatever they call the Instagram thing. The idea though is that when they're being run and controlled outside the district itself, there's a much higher level of, or much higher lack of accountability from the district standpoint. As the board is aware, all public records must be kept by the district. We have to safeguard everything in a database. We have to keep everything, depending on the documents, anywhere from 3 to 14 years, depending on what it is. Social media is a piece of that. And I think one of the biggest things that teachers, well-intentioned teachers and well-intentioned administrators fall into is it's really easy to set up a Facebook account. We've got this new geography club at the high school. I use that as an example. And gosh, now we're on here, and now we can get all of our people's names and now like us, and away we go. What oftentimes the kids and the advisors miss is the fact that we then, any correspondence from there, any likes, dislikes, thumbs down, thumbs up, those all have to be kept for at least 7 years. And so we have to have an electronic version of those things saved. So this is our first attempt to do this. Royal City adopted this last year, and Molly Curtis at DSD then adapted it to what our needs are. You'll see a draft of the actual media policy itself, along with a request form and what the process would be that also outlines responsibilities of the district IT department in keeping those items compliant. This is the first reading. Of course, the board doesn't need to take action tonight, but I have received multiple requests from multiple staff members over the course of this last calendar year. Hey, we've got this thing going, we've got that thing going, we want to create this page, we want to do this. And we have a link to the district Facebook. And that's when things start getting a little bit hairy. So we just want to make sure we're covered. And also make sure that that everything is above board. Obviously, as a public record, any of these types of sites would be able to be viewed or seen by anybody who asks. So that's the kind of accountability that we need. We need people to make sure and understand that our kids, our teachers, our staff members, anybody, are not just setting up social media sites on a whim to start putting things out there under the guise of kind of Benton City School District. I think that's really where the rubber hits the road is. We get rather, well, David gets rather nasty with people who are using names, likenesses, and images with our bear and our colors and things like that, using it for commercial purposes. We need to make sure that if we have a group of students that wants a site, has an advisor, has all of the necessary safeguards in place, we can move forward with that. We just don't want things happening on the web.
So is this strictly from the standpoint of an employee or a teacher or club advisor? I have one that I've done several years ago for the marching band. So how does that follow? I mean, it is Tybee High School Marching Band.
So what you've got,
You can read all of it. All you want, you can get at it, Pete, but I'm just curious.
so what you're getting in the middle of is in that enjoyable discussion about the 401(k), 401, 50, those things.
501.
Yes. And of course, the marching band and being a nonprofit and
Right.
yes. Those are the types of things that we would prefer, name, likeness, image, be associated through us, so we can do all the background. That would be one of the instances though, where you could tell me to go pound sand and there's not anything I can do about it because that group has its own separate entity. The art club for, Donna's in the crowd. If Donna is leading an art club that wants to start, by all means, that is a co-curricular activity that needs to be under our control.
I mean, at the time, there was nothing in place for the band.
Yes.
Of any sort, so it was,
Yep.
it was a parent run thing. So,
Yep.
okay, I'm sure.
We're not gonna take
that much anymore anyways, but.
This is a new adoption, because I seem to remember having a social media policy before, and I couldn't find it, but.
Well, what we've got are bits and pieces, especially where it's concerning, as you know, the district has a Facebook page. Now, there are only very few people that have access to post things to that Facebook page. So when we relax those guidelines, and now we're coming up with a different scenario where a student may very well be the one posting to a student-created, student-led with a faculty advisor type of scenario. Where it's not simply, for something to get on our Facebook page, it runs the gamut and then eventually lands on my desk, lands with Heidi. We talk with Molly as our communication director. Is it approved? Is it not approved? Yes, away we go. So you can have 300 people asking, but eventually it's going to get through me. What we're basically saying here in this policy is we're going to do all the legwork first and have all of the requirements in place first to give you the option and ability to post things on social media to your club's group without, quite frankly, me having to say that, yes, that our club thing can go forward. Doing all of those things in advance. And so moving forward, we would simply put this on the same page as we have with our previous policies under potential adoptions and invite people to take a look at it and pitch any filling there.
Sounds good. I'm going to, take it to some IT folks.
There you go.
Professionals, but I just have to work with.
Excellent.
All right, well then, any other questions, discussion, comments? Glad we had a professional media person drafted.
Yep.
On staff to assist us. Okay, then we'll move on to the district calendar update.
Yeah. Here, basically what I'm asking for, we've had a snow day this year. So we need to make an adjustment of the calendar. As the board is well aware, we have March 11th on the books as a snow makeup day / professional day. I have been in communication with all three of our other bargaining units, because obviously when you're talking about a calendar, that's a mutually agreed on negotiated item. My recommendation to the board, quite frankly, is that we make the last day of school, we move from June 9th to June 10th, and keep March 11th as a no school day for professional development purposes. I think this is going to be a part of a larger discussion moving forward, because quite frankly, whenever we put days on the calendar that entail a potential 3-day weekend, typically parents, and that's their right, and the parents and teachers alike, they make plans. And if we have a snow day and 3 weeks later we decide there's going to be school, a lot of our kids, a lot of our staff don't show up anyway. They make plans, and that's good on them. So for this one, I would propose that the district not put school back onto the March 11th date. We continue that as a 3-day weekend, so no one's plans, parents or otherwise. No one's having to make a choice. It would be an optional day then for anyone who wanted to receive the professional development. We've already talked with Diane Zavala about some potential offerings for that day, where teachers could come in and get training if they chose to. Also, we're going to, as the board is aware, we're moving forward with Camp Wooten plans for this year. So gosh, our 6th graders are going to be at Camp Wooten until Friday the 10th anyway, so there's no reason the rest of it should be here in school. All joking aside, I think it just makes a lot more sense Quite frankly, right now, if parents are getting the opportunities for 3-day trips with kids, if teachers see a potential day to do that, given the current climate of the community and the society in general, if you can take 3 days off, you're taking them. I don't want to even blink and say that we expect kids to come back to school as opposed to going camping in the nice weekend in March. So that would be my proposal, and just ask that the board approve moving the final day of school from June 9th to June 10th.
So instead of ending on a Thursday, we would end on a Friday.
Correct.
There's no polar vortex coming to give us another snow day.
Knock on wood. We still have that great picture from Valentine's Day of 2019 when they're digging in the snow. It was, I'm driving down Elm Creek.
Well, any discussion, comments? Thoughts?
Have we typically done that in the past, like we have any, just common?
To be honest, we've had more snow days than not. 19, oof, I mean, that was the year that we had, I want to say 9 days out of school due to snow, and we actually got a waiver, so we didn't make up more than 5. But the one day used to be a thing where a snow day was fairly rare. Quite frankly, they're not so rare anymore. And the way the ice loves some of our higher elevations around here, that's the thing that gets us. I just don't think it makes sense to have a single snow makeup day on the calendar anymore. I think we just push it to the end and do what we have to do, quite frankly, keep your planning on everybody involved.
So all bargaining units have been, we've discussed this with all of them and they're all in agreement, or you still need to do that? I'm sorry, I might have spaced out because you already said it. But
I think the easiest way to say this is all the bargaining units have been made aware at least twice. And I'm not convinced that probably at this point in February it's at the highest of their list. I can tell you I got 0 negative responses during multiple in-person conversations with people who are in some of the decision-making in those groups.
As a principal, I can tell you that when we had the snow day, that was the first thing out of most people's mouths. Please don't take our March day. So.
Anybody else have an opinion?
I'll get worked on, yeah.
Or,
How many parents have plans at the end of the school year and won't be here on that Friday because they know they were out on the
Nope, I won't even be there the last week.
yeah.
We're out for graduation across country, so it doesn't even matter.
And to be honest, I think the bottom line is people, regardless of the day, are gonna be taking the day. The simple fact is, we can tell people that we're changing their plans in 3 weeks, or we can tell them we're changing it at the end of June. And if they're gone, they're gone. I just think this has the least amount of disruption. If you're gonna take your student out of school for a half day, by all means, take them.
Can you put that last day still be an 11 o'clock release?
Yes, it would.
Please don't take March.
Let the notes show, that Joni can agree.
well, I don't see a problem with that. I think it's probably a fair idea, especially people that already planned that 3 days weekend.
I do see your point in maybe not placing these snow days in there, because now I feel like, okay, we placed it, and then we said this would be the makeup day, now we're taking it away. It's okay for the next year's calendar, maybe.
I think it's all I think is to do would be most advisable, this is a typical time for a professional day when we give teachers options to come to work, get training, do that. I think we keep that as the day. I think it's just asking quite a bit for parents to have to make a decision. I mean, I want to say it was 2020, we had a makeup day in the 5th of January, for goodness sake. Heck, it hadn't even snowed by then. But we had the day off.
Well, I just wanted to say, I mean, is why you're wanting to keep this day is things that teachers are already gonna be off and parents have school or have plans with their kids, but you're then saying that we wanna keep this because now it's a professional day and the teachers can come in if they want to do professional stuff, but on one hand, we're saying that they're all gonna be gone anyway. The other thing, how I would look at is snow days, I agree. The snow day is on there, if we put it on the calendar for a reason to make it up, so we wouldn't have to do it at the end of the year. If we don't think that those snow days work, why are we putting them on the calendar? Because I would mostly be,
Yeah.
this is a makeup day. You as teachers know, this could be a makeup day. You shouldn't be planning a 3-day weekend this weekend, because this could be a makeup day. Parents as well. It's just side of, hey, this is our makeup day, we're gonna do it. When I was in school, we were getting out first week of June, and it just keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. So,
But I think
On
we'll
that-
probably,
and we're doing the same thing, like this, you're not wanna take away one 3-day weekend, but you're doing it at the end of the school, we're saying, wait, we're gonna be off and we're gonna take Friday to the weekend.
What's the deal with not necessarily like lengthening the school day by 10, 15 minutes to make up that time anyway?
No, I'm like.
I mean, we get out earlier than the rest of Tri-Cities by an hour.
We started earlier.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, when I was in school, we went 4 days a week, and I went to school at 7:45 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon. Which, I mean, for parents working anyway, that works better.
Yeah, like, why can't we add it on Wednesdays? It makes more sense.
Because the reason we can't do that is because the state does not define the length of your day. It simply defines the number of days that you're off in school.
Oh, good grief.
How did schools do the 4-10 schedule then? Their schools on.
That was Oregon State anyway, it wasn't Washington.
It wasn't Washington, I realize that, but there are schools that do 4-10 schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
But as far as makeup day, if it's on the calendar, that's why we put it there. So we didn't have to extend it.
Take out the makeup days. Take
If
them out.
it doesn't work and you think that the majority of the time it causes more headache, then we shouldn't even be putting it on. the
yeah,
calendar.
that's what we'll take into account next year when we do the calendar.
Or if you are gonna extend it at the end of the year, you should give parents a warning so they don't buy their flight tickets in advance.
Yeah,
And
That happens a lot.
Your makeup day should just be put at the end of the calendar then.
And just say that they may be an additional week of after school than the normal time. This way, as parents don't have to cancel flights and reschedule things when we have scheduled makeup days on our calendars that we may partake in, or we may choose to keep our kids out. Just like you said, your staff may be there, or they may be out, and you have to do a substitute. It's just inconvenient for everyone by changing it in the middle.
Okay, well, what do you guys think?
I'll go ahead and do approve the changes to the calendar. We'll do better next year, so, but I do think, giving parents more notice, for the change in June. And still being able to provide the staff with a professional day. Is, an advantage, so. So, I'll go ahead and move to approve the changes to the calendar.
I'll go ahead. Okay,
Get rid of Josh. I'm sorry, I can't.
great.
Stuff to see what's good.
So, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
So we will take that into account next year when producing the calendar. Yep. Okay, and our last order of new business is a board workshop discussion. Project is out here. We need to have a workshop. Of course, workshops are public open meetings, no business will take place, but we will discuss several issues or, mostly, we have 2 new board members who would like to, go through how we like to do things, how they like to do things, if they've got ideas, basically a workshop to work on. Continuity, historical perspective, other things. So I guess our question is, when is a good time? I just want to do that. Is it a Friday morning? Is it a Saturday morning? Is it an evening, a week evening?
Well, for me, anybody, I prefer morning.
Saturday morning?
Fine early.
I love it, 5.
Nice to see you there.
I could be here.
Turn the coffee on.
I could be here 5 when I make it, so that's it, right?
Yeah, whatever works for everybody, morning, Friday morning.
Well, one of the things that I mentioned to Neil and Josh when we were having this discussion is the last board workshop that we did here that wasn't associated with a conference that we were at. We did a Friday morning and it seemed to work fairly well for everybody. I've also reached out to Darcy Weisner, the ESP superintendent. He's more than willing to come in and give some folks some kind of crash course and things that we need to be taking into consideration as policy and governance. So I think if everybody's in agreement that Fridays are the best, I can come up with a couple of dates and get them out there to everybody. And just say this is when we'd be looking at, I would think we'd probably be doing a 9 to noon type of scenario or a 9 to 11 scenario on a Friday. I know we were talking March is preferable before spring break. So it gives me some time to play.
Maybe
March 4th, I don't work on Friday, March 4th, that would be great.
it's not a
That works
3-day
for
week.
everybody else. What?
It's not a 3-day week.
It is, for me, in my school district, I go on this
Oh, okay.
calendar where I work, but
March 4th.
March 4th, I have that Friday off. I mean, I can take it Friday off, but I would say that prior.
With enough
Okay.
notice, I could probably make it work for my work schedule. So, yeah, if we get some space done out there.
Well, I'll test the waters with March 4th first and let you all know.
Got enough time to do that.
I'll take a look at my work calendar when I get home. I don't have it memorized, but should be able to make that work.
Is that okay? Everybody?
But not at 5 a.m.
Shoot for it.
Long in the morning.
5:30 is,
It's in.
yeah, we'll cut it to 5:30, so then we have to make it at 5.
Okay, well, that concludes our meeting for tonight. We will continue with an executive session. There won't be any business to follow. We'll adjourn after that. So thank you for participating. Thanks, everybody. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
all the comments.
Yeah, I have the help of the school board, so we usually have to choose one article as,
Victoria
Gretchen.
last name?
Reach, CREACH.
And usually the superintendent
Reach with a C in front of it.
also chooses one, and the director